looking to start up, just get a kind of a rough show of hands. Who is looking to make bag loads of money? A few, yeah, greedy. And who wants to change the world or save the world or make a difference? Okay, not a bad split. And would anybody like to kind of maybe do both those things? Okay. So hopefully there's a bit of a mix, but I guess we're kind of looking to explore a little bit the spectrum between making a lot of money and screwing over everyone and making a difference and not being able to feed your kids. So there's probably, hopefully, somewhere in between where we can go with that. So as we all know, commercial entrepreneurs are money greedy, hungry people who would sell their own grandmothers for profit. That's correct, isn't it? And we'll be hearing from some of them later on tonight. And as we've heard from the tree huggers over here, saving the world is about being a do-gooder and wearing sandals, which I actually wore shoes today because I was coming in here and to impress you guys. But there's this kind of, I guess, always been this false dichotomy, a false gap between these two sectors. We've been told there are two roads. One which leads to profit, and one which is towards impact. I guess as Robert Frost made it famous about the two roads in the woods, right? But I guess there's always at the back of people's minds is whether there's this kind of third road, which is both. And for people who are starting out, the first two roads seem quite straightforward, quite linear. You know, make a product, sell as much as you can, make as much profit as you can, sell out if you can, all about the money. If you're looking to change the world, it's start a charity, get fundraising in, and make a difference. And for people, the idea of doing both is probably a bit of a grey area, or probably something that they're not really sure how to do it. But actually, it isn't actually a hugely complicated thing. And some of the challenges with doing both, you know, we don't have many good role models in that area. We know lots of great entrepreneurs and we know lots of great charity workers, but we don't know a lot of people who have done both successfully. Funding is a difficulty. You know, do you fall between two stools? Maybe private investors want to see people who are purely profit focused. Social investors, donors just want to see people who are purely looking to change the world, and get a little bit confused maybe when there's the combination of both. And also there's not a network. So there's lots of great entrepreneurial networks and there's a lot of great charity networks, and people understand those areas. But for a social entrepreneur or somebody who's trying to play in that grey area between the two, there hasn't always been that network. And I guess in Social Entrepreneurs Ireland, what we try to do is kind of three main things to straighten that line, which is, you know, to say, you know what, it's a very worthwhile and acceptable career path, so it's something you can do, it's not difficult. We'll actually provide funding for people who are doing it. And you know what? We'll connect you in with a great network of people who think the same way, who act the same way, and who can validate and kind of help you with your idea. So really, there's just one road. And it's an entrepreneurial road. And the destination isn't necessarily towards impact, and it's not necessarily towards changing the world, but it's about creating value. And whether that's commercial value or social value, the journey is very much the same. And all along the spectrum, there's lots of different touch points where you can find yourself. So it's not necessarily about profit, and it's not necessarily about making a difference. It can be both. It can be skewed towards one, or it can be skewed towards the other. But there's a huge range of different areas where you can play in. So for us, our key belief is that entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. I didn't really mean what I said about commercial entrepreneurs earlier. We love all entrepreneurs at Social Entrepreneurs Ireland. What we'd say is, you know what, social entrepreneurship is great, but it's not in any way better than commercial entrepreneurship. You know, but it's not any worse either. The traits and the skills and the characteristics of a social entrepreneur, as you've probably seen here today, actually are very similar to a commercial entrepreneur. Both have great ideas, both have ambition to scale and grow, both have the skills to get up and running, to take action, to turn an idea into a reality, to motivate people to come alongside and to build their team, to spread the word, get it out there and get people on board. So whether you're a commercial entrepreneur or a business entrepreneur or a social entrepreneur, the areas where they are the same are 99%, and then there's a small difference in terms of the end result. But the process is very similar. So if you're thinking about setting up a business, and I know a lot of people have said they wanted to make bagloads of money, being social is actually probably a very good thing for business at the moment. So there's a rise in brands at the moment which are focused on, which have at their core a social mission. We've seen, maybe some of you are probably wearing Tom's shoes, right? You know that when you bought the shoes, a pair of shoes was sent to a child who needed them in a third world country. So there's a huge range of social applications to businesses which people are really starting to adopt now and bring into their business. And then on the other side of it, being professional, being effective, and running your social organization in a really business-like and professional manner is also good for what you do. A social mission will get you so far, but ultimately people need high quality, well-delivered goods and quality services. So whether you're playing on the business side or the social side, merging those two together is going to be a good win. For people who are setting up businesses, the core of what you do should be focused on your mission. So I know there's a huge rise in CSR and kind of proportion of profits being given. But what we'd encourage is really to look at the very origins or the core of your business, and to make that about thinking about what difference you want to make in the world, what impact you want to make. That it's not about whether you want to set up a for-profit or a charity, but actually look at the core of what you want to do, what difference you want to make in the world, and then go from there. So once you know what the core is, what the difference, what the change you want to make is, then choose your vehicle. So whether you want to go for a charity or a business shouldn't be the first decision you make. Think about first, what difference do you want to see in the world? How do you want to change things? And then choose the vehicle that will get you there quickest, that will get you there most effectively. We've seen people come into us in the last few years who are 100% driven by a social mission. They've been deeply affected by a social issue in their lives, and they want to change it for the better. But rather than set up a charity to tackle this issue, they've actually said, you know what, if we're able to bring private capital on board, if we're able to take investors on board, we'll be able to transform what we do, transform the lives of people at a much faster rate. The social mission will be at the core of what we do, but we'll make a profit and we will deliver a really, really effective service. So for that, they've chosen probably the Lamborghini of models. There's a huge range between the truck and the push bike which you can choose from. So choose the one that fits whatever you want to do in the world most effectively. So ultimately, why do you do what you do? What is it that makes you passionate? What is it that gives you the drive to get up out of bed in the morning? It probably actually isn't about making money. It's probably about going out there, creating something in the world, making a difference, having fun, meeting interesting people, problem solving, and bringing something new into the world. Focus on that first. The rest will follow. And whichever way you do it, be sure to think big, do it now, and maybe change Ireland as well. Thanks.
Fantastic. Darren, thanks very much. I'm going to open it up now for questions in 1 minute, but I'm going to take my privilege as the chair of this session to ask one question myself, which is, I think, well, from my perspective, you've made a very powerful case for the fact that entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship, okay? And the process, and we have 4 exceptional entrepreneurs up here on the stage, all of whom have, I think, demonstrated all the skills and the passion and the persistence that journey takes. My question, Darren, is do you see the business community, the corporate sector, starting to come around to this way of thinking, or do you still think we have a journey to go in order to get them into the mindset that you're proposing here?
Hopefully a few of them were listening to that, so that might have sped things up a little bit. I think there is a definite shift happening. And in the first instance, that's in brands realizing that people are demanding authenticity and integrity in the brands they're buying, in the products that they're buying. They want to know that their products aren't doing bad in the world, and ideally that they stand for something that they can believe in. I think that's just the first step, probably, as we become much more connected to the products that we buy through social media and through the networks that we have. It's hard to tell where it will go and how it will develop, especially in a recession where people are much more price conscious. But I think there's a definite shift towards companies which, at their very core, have a purpose in the world or a mission that they're looking to fulfill. So I think both from, from your own perspectives, but also from business perspectives, that's going to become more and more important.
Thank you very much, Darren Ryan, ladies and gentlemen.